He got married to like this crazy bitch, and then now she's like saying that I'm stalking her when I've only met the girl like twice.
Yeah, I talked to Johnny a couple days ago, and just talking to him, I think she definitely was crazy. So.
Is he okay?
Yeah, he's fine. So.
Is he okay?
No, he's fine. Yeah, he actually cut off the you know,
Yeah, I could have sworn he first to me because I remember we were in the bathroom because he did it with me too. He kept going and I kept telling him to stop. So.
Yeah, maybe this tougher skin out.
At this point in the interview, detectives want to know exactly what happened in the days leading up to April 1st.
I guess let's start from scratch about what happened, starting from when you ran away, I guess. Is that the 31st? Do you remember, or 28th or something like that?
I didn't really run away. My grandma like kicked me out.
Okay.
Because like this is what happened, like I was chilling with Johnny and my other friend Sabrina, and I came home because I was kind of recurring because I didn't want to violate my probation, so I came home and my grandpa was asleep and my grandma got really mad at me and she was like saying like, oh, you know, if you don't like it here, you know, we're just gonna find somewhere else for you to stay. And she just said that out of the blue. Like she just got really mad for some reason. And so I was just like, if you're gonna find another place for me to stay, I'm just gonna leave. I'm just gonna find somewhere else to go. So.
And this was basically when you took off, you came back, your grandparents were home, and I guess that's when you had that argument?
Wait, what?
So you just had an argument with your grandma, right?
Mm-hmm.
Did you?
I left.
Okay. I'm sorry, I got you. And then when you left, where'd you go to?
I was just staying with Johnny. Like we were sleeping in his car.
And then so you're kicking it with Johnny. Where are you kicking it with him at?
We were just all over the place, Bailey. We were just trying to find something to do, just keep, you know.
According to Cassie, she and Johnny slept in his car for a few days just hanging out before they went back to her grandparents' house. And on one of those evenings, the two drove out to Peachtree Ridge Park, where Johnny brought up the idea to kill her grandparents so they could run away together.
So I guess when did you decide to go back to your grandparents' house in the middle of the night?
It was like a couple of days after, like 2 or 3 days.
Do you remember Saturday, Sunday? Do you have an exact?
I don't really remember, like, I don't really even know, like, what day it was that we went into the house.
And before you did that, did you and Johnny meet up somewhere at a park or something to talk about what was going on?
We went to Peachtree Park, and we talked about it. At first, it wasn't my idea at first.
How do you even get, I guess, what was said? How do you even bring up, what was the context?
He first asked me, are you afraid to die? And I said, no. And then I asked him, are you afraid to die? And he said, no. And he was just talking about how we could, like, run away together, you know, that kind of, like, dream. And he asked me, he was like, would you kill your grandparents? And I kind of, like, hesitated for a minute. And I was like, why? And he was just like, I don't know, I mean, because he knows probably everything that I've been through with all of my family. And he understands that, you know, like, all I really wanted to do was just kind of get away from everything, kind of just move on with myself. Like, I wasn't having a good relationship with my grandparents. Like, it started getting really bad, you know, like, I got a charge from them because, you know, like, I fought them, you know. I might have broken, like, my grandpa's ribs, you know, for that charge for simple assault and simple battery, you know. And it just got really worse. We just kept arguing all the time, and then, I don't know, I guess things, like, just seemed different. They didn't look at me the same anymore. Like, I don't know, it's like, the vibe that they had was, like, they didn't really know what to do. They didn't really know, like, how to be around me, I guess. They didn't really know how to talk to me. So I didn't really know, like, how to talk to them either. So it was just a really hard,
It's
like...
a big age difference, too, so...
Yeah. And then, you know, before all of the stuff happened with my parents, you know, like, they treated me so much differently, you know. They trusted me, you know, I could have done anything at their house, you know. Like, I was free, and I loved going over there, and it wasn't like I was actually, like, living there, so, you know, because I was with my parents, so I never had that feeling. But even though I did live with them before, I don't know, it kind of just, like, changed throughout, like, the whole time that I was with them.
So unhappy with the way things were going with her grandparents, Cassie and Johnny meticulously created a plan on how they would kill Wendy and Randall.
When you guys met at the park, did he ever go over the actual plan on how you guys would do it or anything like that? Or like, what was that? How?
Well, I mean, we were just trying to figure out how to get money, and because he said that he might have had a warrant, and I didn't know if I had a warrant because, you know, my grandma kicked me out, and then she did the same thing that my mom did. Like, my mom would kick me out, then, like, a couple days later, she would call the cops saying that I ran away when I didn't. Like, sometimes, like, she would physically force me out of the house, because, like, sometimes, like, I would just be like, Mom, why are you doing this? And then, you know, she would, like, literally, like, grab my stuff and push me out the door, and then call the cops on me. So I felt like that's what, like, my grandma did, and I didn't know, so I was already figuring that I had a warrant or something that already violated probation. And Johnny was saying that he might have already violated probation because he thought his mom called the cops on him or something. I don't know. But how we started talking about it was, like, we started out, like, with, you know, what time should we go to the house? How are we going to do this? You know, like, what, you know, materials do we need to, you know, do this? So, you know, we started talking about that, and then, you know, so we decided to go around, like, midnight or 1:30 because my grandma normally went to sleep around, like, 11:30, 12. So we decided, like, you know, we parked down the road, and then the park was literally, like, right behind my backyard, like the neighborhood park. So I was able to go through the park and then cut through my backyard because there was a fence. Like, there was the trees, then there was my fence, and then there was the house.
Mm-hmm.
So you could easily, like, go through the trees, and then there was the little gate that you could go through. I didn't even think, like, you could even open it.
Yeah, how'd you guys move that cement? Isn't there like a cement block or cinder block or something?
Yeah, it was pretty easy to move. Like, I was able to push the door out a little bit, and then, like, it was stuck, but I was able to move my body over to get in the, you know, into the other side, and then I just moved the cement block over so that Johnny could get through, and then I moved it back.
Y'all were living out of his car. Did he have, like, a lot of clothes in his car that he would change into?
Yeah.
Okay.
He already had clothes in his car.
But did he have, like, different shoes, or did he kind of just keep one pair of shoes on?
He had different shoes. He had a bunch of stuff in his car. It's kind of like Mary Poppins.
Okay,
That's a good frame of
you got some good
reference.
analogies. I like that.
Cassie told the detectives that on the night of April 1st, she and Johnny entered into the backyard through a gate, and from there, they quietly snuck up the deck stairs that led to her grandparents' back door. But when the two peered through the window, they noticed that Wendy was still up and moving around, so they had to wait.
So when you guys made it to the, I guess, the back door, or the back gate, what'd you guys do next? How'd you move up to the house?
Well, we went up the stairs
The
to,
decking stairs?
yeah, the back deck, and my grandma was still up because we got there a little bit early. So we went back down, and we were kind of just chilling over where,
The shed is?
yeah, we were just chilling by the shed. And then we saw that the lights turned out, and then we just, like, stayed outside for a little bit longer just to, you know, wait. And then I already had the keys to my house because I already had a set of keys, so I was able to unlock the back door. And then that just made everything easier.
And this back door, you mean the bottom back door? Or so you're still talking about the door on the steps?
Yeah, like when you go up the back, on the back deck, there's two doors. There's a door on the left and a door on the right, and I went to the door on the right. Because the door on the left had a sensor on it, like one of those, like,
Beep beep or whatever?
yeah, like the door for open, something like that.
One of the ones that kind of, like, announces each door?
Mhm.
Okay.
But now that Wendy was asleep and the house was quiet and dark, the two quietly made their way inside. Wearing blue medical gloves, Cassie said she held a tire iron in her hands, the weapon she chose to murder her grandparents. She gripped it tight and quietly made her way up the stairs.
So when you guys are at that back door now, you're the first one to kind of walk inside there, or how you?
So there was stuff in front of the door because my grandma normally locked off the back door. So, but I was able to open. So I unlocked the back door. I was able to open the back door a little bit and not have the stuff in front of the door fall and, you know, make a noise. So I was able to, like, maneuver in, and then I moved the stuff in front of the door, and then I got Johnny in. And then closed the door and locked it.
I mean, would you guys kind of just hang out downstairs, or you start moving upstairs?
We went upstairs. We didn't immediately go upstairs. Like, we went to the stairs and we were, like, just listening, just hearing what was going on. And we thought everything was good, and then we went upstairs and
Oh, did you guys have anything in your hands, or just?
I had it's one of those car tools.
Is that to do with tire, or is
Yeah,
it to
tire
fix
iron. It was a tire iron. So I had one of those.
Where'd you get that at?
Johnny's car. He had one in his car.
His Honda? Or whatever?
And Johnny just used his fist, and he brought a black book bag that had duct tape in it, and it had the tire iron in it, and it had gloves in it, because we were also wearing gloves too.
What kind of gloves?
They were like
Like hospital gloves or regular?
hospital
Oh, okay.
gloves.
What color were they? Remember?
blue-ish. Yeah, they're blue.
You actually had a tire iron in your hand or just on the book bag?
I had the tire in my hand. You know, we got it out before we went inside the house. So I had it in my hand. And Johnny didn't have any weapon, just used his fist. So
who's first up the stairs? Is it you who's kind of following you? Or?
Yeah, I go up the stairs. He goes into my grandpa's room, and I go into my grandpa's room.
So Wendy and Randall slept in different rooms. Being that Randall was obviously bigger and would be harder to take down, Johnny decided to take care of him, while Cassie would kill her grandma. So she quietly stepped into Wendy's room, but she didn't kill her right away. She paused for a moment, but then suddenly, she heard the sounds of a struggle coming from her grandpa's room. And it's at that moment when Cassie lifted the tire iron above her head and slammed it down onto her grandma. It's terrifying to think about what went through Wendy's head in those moments. The room was dark, so she might not have even known who was attacking her. But eventually, she would realize that it's her own granddaughter trying to kill her, and Wendy fought back.
And then do you hear kind of what's going on over there, and does that kind of cue you off to, was your grandmother there?
Yeah, he started going at it, and then, I could hear my grandpa just yelling, them fighting, and then I started getting the rush, and then, that's when I started hitting my grandma. She started, screaming and stuff, and...
Was that the first hit?
Yeah.
The back of the head?
Yeah. She bit me.
I think I took a picture of that yesterday, right?
Yeah, she bit me in my finger, too, but I forgot which finger. It was on my right hand. I think it was either, my middle finger, or it was that one.
And when you and your grandmother used to get into it, that's kind of how did she bite you before to kind of get you off or whatnot?
Yeah, she's bitten me before.
She's bitten you before too?
Yeah, I haven't bitten her, but she's bitten me before.
Okay.
When you guys are in it, or did you just kind of bite you?
No, when we were in it. I had this mark on my hand, of course, it bit me for a while.
Where did she bite you that night? On your finger?
Yeah.
Anywhere else?
On my arm, where they took the picture of it, and then that was it.
After both Randall and Wendy suffered multiple blows to their head, they couldn't fight back anymore. So that's when Cassie and Johnny decided to tie them up with duct tape.
So you're in the bedroom with your grandmother. When do you meet back up with Johnny? Do you leave your grandmother there, or kind of what happens?
So I started hitting my grandma, and I already had duct tape, and then Johnny's doing his thing, and I stopped hearing Johnny doing whatever, and so he comes in the room with me and my grandma, and he helps me tie up my grandma with the duct tape. And
how did you do that? Is it just her hands, or?
I got her hands, I got her whole head, and then I got her ankles.
Okay, with her hands.
It was behind her back.
So it's just like this?
Yeah.
Okay.
And Johnny helped you tie her up?
Yeah, I mostly did it, but I needed a little bit of help because she was moving around and stuff.
From here, Cassie drags Wendy into the same room that Randall was in. She then goes downstairs to grab some knives. But Cassie and Johnny couldn't kill them just yet. Murder wasn't the only reason that they went there that night. They also wanted to steal from them and use the money to start their new lives together.
I was still with my grandma, and then...
In her room?
Yeah, and then I dragged her into my grandpa's room, and then Johnny asked me to go get some knives. So I got some knives from downstairs in the kitchen, and I got 3 big butcher knives. I asked her for the code to her safe, because I already knew that she had a safe in her closet. I just didn't know what was in the safe. So,
Did she tell you?
Yeah, she kept saying, I'll give you money, I'll give you my keys, I'll give you anything you want, but, yeah, she just kept saying...
Was she able to talk with the duct tape around her face?
Yeah, she was mumbling. You could still understand her, but, at the same time, you couldn't.
It wasn't her mouth was shut.
Yeah.
Almost as if...
It was like that.
Okay. Almost as if she could still move her mouth.
Yeah. So we left my grandma sitting there on the floor, and then I got the code to the safe. So Johnny's watching my grandpa and my grandma, and I'm over.
How'd you get that code? Did she tell you guys, or?
She told us. So she told us the code, and I went in the closet because that's where they kept the safe. So I go in there, and I'm checking out all the stuff, and I grab the book bag, and I just start stuffing the book bag with everything. There was envelopes just filled with money. There was probably about $1,000 that we found in that safe that they were just saving. And
did you know about that money, or you just said no?
Well, my grandma, it was kind of weird. She was kind of giving me an idea about it before. She was saying, "What if I just gave you $1,000? Would that just make the world a better place?" I'm just like, "No, I don't want $1,000." So she kept saying that, and then when I saw it, I was just like, "Wow, she actually had $1,000 on her tape. That's crazy."
So you guys put that stuff in a bag, and then basically Johnny's in your grandpa's room
Mhm.
with your grandpa and your grandma in the room. Do you come back in there and say, hey, I got the stuff, or what? Okay.
Now, after they got the money and everything they wanted from the safe, Wendy and Randall were useless to them. So it's here, where Cassie goes downstairs and grabs some butcher knives. Then she would come back upstairs and slit her grandparents' throats. Cassie and Johnny then dragged Wendy's body into the restroom, where Johnny slit her throat as well. Cassie admitted that Wendy was frightened, so much so she ended up going to the bathroom on herself.
And then we dragged my grandma into the bathroom, and
What was the reason for that? Just to bring her to the bathroom?
yeah, I don't know why we brought her back into the bathroom. I guess we didn't want to bring her into the bedroom, and it was kind of creepy because she was like scared to die. Like she shitted herself.
How did she?
It was kind of gross.
To hear Cassie talk about how gross it was when her grandma defecated on herself is so sad. She clearly has no remorse for what she did. But following this, the two still weren't finished. Instead of leaving their bodies there, Cassie and Johnny decided to mutilate Wendy and Randall even further. To make sure they were dead, they stabbed the couple several more times. And Johnny even hit them in the head with a tire iron once more. But with that, there was no question that Wendy and Randall were dead. So from there, Cassie packed a bag, and the two left the house to do a little grocery shopping.
We were just turning around, seeing if everything was okay, and then I started grabbing my clothes and started stuffing the bag with my clothes, and then Johnny's, walking around doing his thing, checking to make sure that they were both dead, and checking to make sure if we didn't forget anything. And yeah, then we left, and then we came back to the house.
When you guys left, where'd you guys go to?
We went over to like Kroger or Publix to go get something to eat, and then we went back to the house, and we just kind of like chilled there.
Did you guys kind of just stay in the house then, or?
Yeah, it was kind of both. We were kind of like in and out of the house for a couple days. It was just me and him. We didn't tell anyone. I mean, I told my friends that my grandparents went on a vacation for like 2 weeks.
Throughout the entire interrogation, it was obvious that Cassie's main motive for killing her grandparents was because she couldn't handle authority. She was upset with their rules and believed that the only way she could truly be free was to get rid of them once and for all.
I guess with your grandparents, then we can move on to Johnny's. I mean, was there like ever a snapping point, or, I mean, do you feel bad about what happened? Do you think she deserves what happened, or what, how are you feeling right now? I'm not in your shoes,
With my grandparents?
Yeah.
I mean, I feel terrible. I mean, I feel like the worst person on the planet, but at the same time, it was kind of just like, I don't know. I mean, there was so much stuff going on between me and my grandparents already. Like, I couldn't handle it anymore,
Like you said, with his follow-up question though, I mean, did they deserve it? Did Grandma deserve it? Did Grandpa deserve it? Or was it kind of just more getting away from your own family?
It was more kind of just getting away.
So you don't think that Grandma did anything?
I mean, I was pretty pissed at her for, the couple times that, she would call the cops on me for, no reason sometimes, or just a lot of the stuff that she would say would be really offensive because it would be about my mom.
Who did you have because your grandparents are essentially your parents at this point.
Yeah.
And they've been taking care of you for how many years, and you live with them, it's a day-to-day thing.
Mm-hmm.
Who did you have a more contentious relationship with? Who was the one you were butting heads with all the time?
My grandma.
Your grandma more so than your grandpa?
Yeah, I couldn't talk to my grandpa. I did not have a real good relationship with him. Before we did, but then, I don't know, I wasn't able to talk to him as much, and he kind of,
Nutritional yeast is like not as intense as Marmite, but that is a very favored umami booster in a lot of like vegetarian and vegan cooking.
So let's talk about cooking. You spend a lot of time with the science of flavor, with Rennie Redzepi and other people. So give me a few things you've learned through all of this that are takeaways for a home cook. What are some things people might not normally think of to boost or improve flavor with their home cooking?
Yeah, I mean, I think one is taste more ingredients. Taste them before you add them and see what they taste like, how intense they are, how not intense they are, how the flavor might change. Think about cooking techniques that dilute versus concentrate flavor. So, if you're cooking even something like cauliflower, if you boil it or cook it in a lot of water, the flavor will become milder, more delicate, maybe more flavorless, versus roasting in an oven, which, removes some of the water and then concentrates the flavor, in addition to adding things like brown flavor. But then things like steaming, or especially steaming in the microwave, where, all the water inside of the vegetable is literally inside the vegetable. You can get much more intense flavors that way.
If there are 2 or 3 pantry staples, I have my own list of things that I think are really transformative in the kitchen. What 3 things would you pick that maybe people don't have right now?
I would say smoked paprika, just in terms of what I use a lot. Smoked paprika is great.
And how do you use it?
I'll add it to most things that have like cooked things with tomato in them. I'll add at least a little bit. Even some like pasta sauces, but also like braises and things like that. Or it can be great added just to like mayonnaise to make a more kind of smoky and interesting sauce. I think capers are excellent, and I add those to braises, add those to pasta sauces. Sometimes I chop them up and fry them, and then put that on top of like a salad. Smoked paprika is good for smokiness as a small dimension. Capers, it's kind of more salty, sour, funky. And then if you eat dairy, I would say creme fraiche, just because it is delicious. So creme fraiche is lacto-fermented cream, so you can add it to things for the fatty deliciousness of cream fat, but also really great tanginess and this kind of like buttery flavor.
Yeah, I found in the last few years a lot of recipes put in creme fraiche, like ice cream, for example.
Oh yeah.
It's totally transformed. And I see in lots of other recipes, I put pancakes in batters, all sorts of things. It's pretty good.
I use it like as on like brown like sausage, or even sometimes just some like shallots and capers, and then like essentially deglaze with creme fraiche, and it melts into like a beautiful sauce. If you don't want as much dietary fat, I think labna, which is strained yogurt, is a fantastic condiment. You can kind of put it on almost anything as a really delicious sauce. Yeah, I mean, lacto-fermented dairy is excellent. I think, sorry, this is the 4th one, but in terms of spices, like a really nice, like, Ras Al Hanout or Baharat or Advia, basically an interesting spice blend that you like. You can, taste a few of them and see what you like, but they're delicious in like lots and lots of things to add complexity.
Ariel, thank you so much. I learned a lot. I got inspired, and thank you.
Fantastic. It was my pleasure.
That was Dr. Ariel Johnson, author of Flavorama, a guide to unlocking the art and science of flavor. Now I'm joined by my co-host, Sarah Moulton, to answer a few of your cooking questions. Sarah is, of course, the star of Sarah's Weeknight Meals on public television. Her latest book is Home Cooking 101.
Chris, before we take any calls, I'm just wondering, what have you learned recently? What's something new?
No, I'm at a point in life I just forget things. What have you forgotten lately would be a better question. Well, just one of the things is that recently, but years ago I was in Mexico City and they made a corn cake, which was delicious. It was sort of in between. It wasn't cornbread, it was more like a cake. It was great texture. Had condensed milk in it, wasn't too sweet. But it's made in a blender. That is the batter.
That's wild. Yeah.
And of course, in Mexico, blenders are used for sauces, they're used for soups, everything else. But we came back and have now come up with a bunch of cakes. You can make actually a 1, 2, 3 cake with a simple formula. You can make in a blender. That's kind of like breaks all the rules.
What do you think that the blender does? Do you think it adds air?
No, not over a stand mixer, certainly with a paddle. I just think that if you fix the fat to flour ratio, you get the ratios right. I think using a blender very quickly to mix it is just a quick way of mixing.
Okay.
And since they're Polish, a lot of things to use a blender. They have pressure cookers and blenders as two of the big appliances.
Interesting.
They just adapted it to the thing they use in the kitchen all the time.
So when you eat a blender cake, can you tell that it's a blender cake?
No. Rose is our in-house baker. She worked on this all week, and it's delicious cake.
That's exciting.
Yeah, and it's got a nice light texture. So
Much easier. I like that.
That's pretty cool.
Okay.
So,
And this is coming soon to the magazine?
coming soon to the world.
I love it. I love it.
It's good.
Okay, that was worth it. And now let's take a call.
Okay. Welcome to Mill Street. Who's calling?
Hi, this is Sierra. I'm from Madison.
I love Madison. Great team. So, how can we help you?
I have a lot of anxiety about a very large breakfast that I need to cook for my son's high school swim team this year. Basically, one of the requirements all of the parents need to sign up for making breakfast for the boys, and he's a freshman, and so we're kind of new to this. And it's
35 people for breakfast?
yeah, but still, because they're very, very large.
Are you sure? Wait a minute. 70 portions?
Yeah, well, more like 65.
That's much better.
Oh, wow.
That's good.
Oh, now.
Yeah, that's fine. Well, is this early in the morning? When is this?
Oh, yeah. So they go to practice around 5:45 in the evening. So it needs to be dropped up around 7. They're done.
Lord. What you have to do is get big, disposable casserole pans. And you have to make something like a French toast casserole, something that's going to be layered, it can be done ahead of time and heated up. That's the only thing you can possibly do. It has to be something in bulk that can be reheated.
Do you think you would make the casserole like the night before and then reheat it? Or are you soaking it overnight and then baking it in the morning for the first time?
That's a good question. It's a little risky, but I think something like a French toast casserole probably could be in the fridge soaking and then baked off at the last minute. I think you could get away with that, probably use less liquid. You want to test that on one of them first. I mean, I'm a good cook.
Yeah, I'm not.
I'll go with Avalon's on. People, I think, may take for granted the broadcast legacy of Cincinnati.
Oh my. We remember Jimmy Dodd,
Oh, yes.
the leader of the Mouseketeers,
Musketeers, right?
who influenced the kids with this Christian background. You know, he had the song Proverbs on his show and with the Mouseketeers, and Doris Day and Vera Ellen and so many that had their roots right here in Roy Rogers, my
Yeah,
cowboy
yes.
hero, had his roots right here in Cincinnati. But in answer to your question, doing live television was such an exciting thing because we learned not only to perform and sing, but to do commercials as well. A lot of people might not remember this, but my commercial on the show was I held up a toothpaste box and I said, Crest has been shown to be an effective decay preventive dentifrice when used in a conscientiously applied program of oral hygiene and regular professional care.
And I have to tell you, Peter Grant would be very proud of the fact that they used dentifrice in that, because I remember him on a Ruth Lyons program talking about it's a wonderful dentifrice. It's great.
That's
The
a hard thing
words
to
that were
say.
used.
It's a wonderful dentifrice. Yeah. And we advertised Zapp's Donuts and Conn's Wieners, the wiener the world awaited. And remember after the show, we helped Elsa Sewell, Chelsea Bob and Jesse Jackson, and we'd hand out all the prizes and the gifts to the folks when they were leaving the studio. It was just a wonderful time. It was filled with wonderful memories.
It's the Larry and Carol Fabiano music special, this time around on longtime Cincinnati entertainer Dave McCoy. We'll have an upcoming show on Bob Braun, one of Dave McCoy's early TV colleagues, on an upcoming show. Next, the Ohio State Fair and the Avco Hour of Stars, battling hay fever and meeting a major country star. All that and more music with Dave McCoy coming up on the Maple Mill Public Radio Network.
Support comes from Hopewell Care Services, offering care to help maintain one's independence at home. Offering companion care, accessible care management 7 days a week, and specialty care including certified dementia practitioners, bedbound care, and transportation services. Information at 513-791-4824 or homewellcareservices.com/Cincinnati. Homewell Care Services, trusted care, true compassion.
On the special Carol and Larry Fabiano program, we're telling you about the life and the music of Dave McCoy, an entertainer who is still performing in Cincinnati even as we speak in 2024.
Use cilantro, mint, basil, fish sauce. That's the basic marinade. And I would marinate it overnight, then I would grill it. And then I would chop it up, put it on a salad with some mango and cilantro, and I'd use the marinade and preserve some as a salad dressing. And it was always a big hit. That's the basic recipe, with some tweaks here and there whenever I feel like having it. But I often have issues with the octopus. The first time I cooked it, it was perfect. It was wonderful. The second time, it was rubbery. The third time, the suckers are kind of sloughing off, and it's disgusting. So I've tried everything. Maybe I read a book that said something about people used to throw octopus on the wall to tenderize them, so I tried that. It felt ridiculous, so then I slapped it on the counter, and I didn't know if you could over-slap an octopus, so I stopped doing that. That didn't seem to have good results.
First of all, let me be honest. I've never cooked octopus. As close as I've gotten is watching Jiro Dreams of Sushi, where he gets one of his apprentices to massage it for 45 minutes. And that's how, which I'm not actually suggesting you do, but that's how he does it. It's obvious what's going on. Every time you buy octopus, it's different. Yeah, it's not in the same condition. And so parboiling, you would have to adjust the time that you parboil it based upon the condition of the octopus. How you figure that out, you can probably figure out better than I can. But sometimes you just have to give it more parboiling time to bring it down to something that's going to be edible. Sarah, you have any thoughts?
I cooked it with a wonderful chef, Dave Pasternak. He and I cooked octopus together for my cookbook. He's of the old school Italian variety that insists on throwing some quarks in to tenderize it.
What does that mean?
The Italians think if you throw 3 quarks in, or at least 1, that it helps tenderize.
When you're parboiling it?
He would say no. You completely cook it before you do anything else with it.
But what about the marinating overnight?
He would marinate overnight, although not with lime juice, as we both know that acid can change the texture of protein. Here's what I would do if you want to listen to Dave Pasternak. He starts it in cold water. Other people say you don't have to, but you need to cook it like baby octopus at least 45 minutes, and large octopus, like 2.5, 3 pounds, more like an hour and a half, until a knife goes through easily, or just until a knife goes through easily. But I would also say that if you're going to marinate it overnight, don't use a lot of acid. You can add that the next day.
I think it's all that you're starting with different kinds of octopus, and you have to cook it more or less depending on what it's starting with.
Is.
I don't think it's the marinating. I think it's just, as you said, a baby octopus,
45 minutes.
A mama bear, daddy bear.
Yeah, exactly. Dave also recommends, if for some reason you got it fresh, to freeze it overnight.
Oh, really?
Yeah. The texture of frozen works better when you cook it.
I think just adjust the cooking time.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, I'll give it a shot.
Take care.
All right.
Thank you very much.
Okay, Aaron. Bye-bye.
You're listening to Milk Street Radio. After the break, it's my latest conversation with Jamie Oliver. That's coming right up.
Support comes from family-owned and operated Ray St. Clair Roofing, with 70 years of providing Greater Cincinnati and Dayton areas with roofing installation. Ray St. Clair Roofing is focused on being your home's trusted problem solver and your one-stop shop for all your roofing, gutters, windows, doors, siding, and chimney needs. Online at raystclair.com.
I'm Mariano Hossa, next time on Latino USA. It was an anti-immigrant initiative in California, Prop 187, that pushed Alex Padilla into politics. But now, he's making history as the first Latino representing California in the U.S. Senate. That's next time on Latino USA.
Saturday evenings at 6 and Monday nights at 11 on 91.7 WVXU.
Start your weekdays with Morning Edition from NPR News.
Good morning. Good to be here.
Good to be with you, Steve. So good to be here with you, Sheila.
It's good to be here with you.
On 91.7 WVXU, with host Marianne Zaleski.
This is Mill Street Radio. I'm your host, Christopher Kimball. Right now, it's my conversation with Jamie Oliver. He makes his return to the show with a new book, 5 Ingredients, Mediterranean. Simple, incredible food. Jamie, welcome back to Milk Street. It's been a while.
Thank you very much for having me. Yeah, it has been a while.
Let me start with an abbreviated resume for those people who don't know the story. You started cooking at age 8 with your parents' gastropub, the Cricketers, which they had for over 4 decades. You founded a band. You were the drummer. I've actually watched your YouTube with Sundial song, which was really good. You're a member of the Order of the British Empire, although I can't call you Sir Jamie, I guess, quite yet.
No, not yet.
This is the one, I just discovered this. You sold 50 million books?
Yeah.
Some huge number.
Extraordinary.
I think someone said you're the best-selling nonfiction author in England of all time. You had dyslexia, but that seems to have overcome that. You won a TED Prize in 2010 with your TED Talk about food. 2019, obviously, you had some economic issues with your restaurants, but you've recovered. You just wrote Billy and the Giant Adventure, a kid's book. But here are my 3 things I love most. You were in Star Wars as a stormtrooper. Okay, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
You were the voice of the health inspector on Ratatouille, which I did not know. I guess you had to come up with a French accent.
I did, yeah.
Spot.
I thought they were after my voice, but no, it was a French accent.
And this is the thing I like the most. You watched The Bear, you tried to, and you got discouraged because you noticed their knife skills were obviously not proficient, and that just ruined the whole thing for you, right? I mean, that.
Yeah,
you just couldn't watch it.
I have to get back in because everyone's like, look, it's too good, and actually, he can now. And I think it was those early first programs. And sometimes I hear this from surgeons, like when they watch films or dramas about like hospitals, it's like, do you know when you just, the reality's gone for you. But I know I have to try harder and get back in the Bear.
Well, you probably could watch Star Wars, so if you can watch Star Wars, you can watch The Bear. So let's talk about your TV show from almost 20 years ago, Jamie Oliver's Food Revolution. You came to the U.S., and you earnestly tried to help kids eat healthier, both at home and in school. You blasted schools for using pink slime in their ground meat. And you've been working on this issue with kids, parents, the government. You're still working on it. In fact,